Hello and welcome back to the reading of the Holy Bible. Today we will be reading the book of Ruth, all 4 chapters of it, and then next week we will be moving on to Judges. So let's begin. The book of Ruth. This book is the beautiful story of the young gentle widow Ruth, who went from Noemi, her mother-in-law, to Bethlehem. There she met and married Boaz, a Jew. From that marriage was born Obed, the grandfather of David. Thus Christ, who is the family of David, had Gentile ancestors. Chapter 1. Elimelech is driven by famine from Moab. In the days of one of the judges, when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the land of Moab with his wife and his 2 sons. He was named Elimelech, and his wife Noemi, and his 2 sons, the one Mahalan and the other Chilion, Ephrates of the Bethlehem, Judah. And entering into the country of Moab, they abode there. Elimelech dies in Moab. And Elimelech, the husband of Noemi, died, and she remained with her 2 sons. Her 2 sons marry and die in Moab. And they took wives of the women of Moab, of which one was called Orpah, and the other Ruth. And they dwelt there 10 years, and they both died, to wit, Mahalan and Chilion, and the woman was left alone, having lost both her sons and her husband. Noemi decides to return to Bethlehem. And she arose to go from the land of Moab to her own country, with both her daughters-in-law. For she had heard that the Lord had looked upon his people, and had given them food. Wherefore she went forth out of the place of her sojournment, with both her daughters-in-law, and being now in the way to return to the land of Judah, she said to them, Go ye home to your mothers, the Lord deal mercifully with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. May he grant you to find rest in the houses of the husbands, which you shall take. And she kissed them. And they lifted up their voice, and began to weep, and to say, We will go on with thee to thy people. But she answered them, Return, my daughters, why come ye with me? Have I any more sons in my womb, that you may hope for husbands of me? Return again, my daughters, and go your ways, for I am now spent with age, and not fit for wedlock, although I might conceive this night, and bear children. If you would wait till they were grown up, and come to man's estate, you would be old women before you marry. Do not so, my daughters, I beseech you, for I am grieved the more for your distress, and the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice, and began to weep again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and returned. Ruth stuck close to her mother-in-law. Ruth decides to go with Noemi. And Noemi said to her, Behold, thy kinswoman is returned to her people and to her gods. Go thou with her. Chapter 1, verse 15, clarification. To her gods. Noemi did not mean to persuade Ruth to return to the false god she had formerly worshipped, but by this manner of speech insinuated to her that if she would go with her, she must renounce her false gods and return to the Lord, the God of Israel, whom her deceased husband had worshipped. Resuming with verse 16. She answered, Be not against me to desire what I should leave thee, and depart, for whithersoever thou shalt go, I will go, and where thou shalt dwell, I also will dwell. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. The land that shall receive thee dying, in the same land I will die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so, and so to me, and add more also, if aught but death part me and thee. Verse 17, clarification. The Lord do so and so, a form of swearing usual in the history of the Old Testament, by which the person wished such and such evils to fall upon them, if they did not do what they said. Resuming with verse 18. Then Noemi, seeing that Ruth was steadfastly determined to go with her, would not be against it, nor persuade her any more to return to her friends. So they went together and came to Bethlehem. And when they were come into the city, the report was quickly spread among all, and the women said, This is that Noemi. Verse 19, clarification, that Noemi. This exclamation must proceed either from surprise or from contempt. Resuming with verse 20. But she said to them, Call me not Noemi, that is beautiful, but call me Mara, that is bitter, for the Almighty hath quite filled me with bitterness, and I went out full, and the Lord hath brought me back empty. And then do you call me Noemi, whom the Lord hath humbled, and the Almighty hath afflicted? So Noemi came with Ruth the Moabites, her daughter-in-law, from the land of her sojournment, and returned to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. Chapter 2. Ruth gleans in the field of Boaz. Now her husband, Elimelech, had a kinsman, a powerful man, and very rich, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said to her mother-in-law, If thou wilt, I will go into the field and glean the ears of corn that escape the hands of the reapers. Wheresoever I shall find grace with the householder, that I may be that will be favorable to me. And she answered her, Go, my daughter. She went therefore and gleaned the ears of corn after the reapers. And it happened that the owner of the field was Buz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. Buz notices Ruth. And behold, he came out of Bethlehem, and said to the reapers, The Lord be with you. And they answered him, The Lord bless thee. And Buz said to the young men that was set over the reapers, Whose maid is this? And he answered them, This is the Moabitess, who came with Naomi from the land of Moab. And she desired leave to glean the ears of corn that remain, following the steps of the reapers. And she hath been in the field from morning till now, and hath not gone home for one moment. Buz shows favor to Ruth. And Buz said to Ruth, Hear me, daughter. Do not go to glean in any other field, and do not depart from this place, but keep with my maids, and follow where they reap. For I have charged my young men not to molest thee. And if thou art thirsty, go to the vessels, and drink of the waters whereof the servants drink. She fell on her face, and worshipped upon the ground, and said to him, Whence cometh this to me, that I should find grace before thy eyes, and that thou shouldst vouchsafe to take notice of me, a woman of another country? He answered her, All hath been told me that thou hast done to thy mother-in-law after the death of thy husband, and how thou hast left thy parents, and the land wherein thou wast born, and art come to a people which thou knowest not heretofore. The Lord render unto thee for thy work, and mayest thou receive a full reward of the Lord, the God of Israel, to whom thou art come, and under whose wings thou art fled. She said, I have found grace in thy eyes, my Lord, who hast comforted me, and hast spoken to the heart of thy handmaid, who am not like to one of thy maids. And Buz said to her, At mealtime come thou hither, and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar. So she sat at the side of the reapers, and she heaped to herself frumenty, and ate and was filled, and took the leavings. And she arose from thence to glean the ears of corn as before. And Buz commanded his servant, saying, If she would even reap with you, hinder her not, and let fall some of your handfuls of purpose, and leave them, that she may gather them without shame, and let no man rebuke her when she gleaneth them. Ruth gleans until the end of harvest. She gleaned therefore in the field till evening, and beating out with a rod and threshing what she had gleaned, she found about the measure of an ephah of barley, that is 3 bushels, which she took up and returned into the city, and showed it to her mother-in-law. Moreover, she brought out and gave her the remains of her meat, wherewith she had been filled. And her mother-in-law said to her, Where hast thou gleaned today, and where hast thou wrought? Blessed be he that hath pity on thee. And she told her with whom she had wrought, and she told the man's name, that he was called Buz. And Naomi answered her, Blessed be of the Lord, because the same kindness which he showed to the living, he hath kept also to the dead. And again she said, The man is our kinsman. And Ruth said, He also charged me that I should keep close to his reapers, till all the corn should be reaped. And her mother-in-law said to her, It is better for thee, my daughter, to go out to reap with his maids, lest in another man's field someone may resist thee. So she kept close to the maids of Buz, and continued to glean with them, till all the barley and the wheat were laid up in the barns. Chapter 3. Naomi instructs Ruth. After she was returned to her mother-in-law, Naomi said to her, My daughter, I will seek rest for thee, and will provide that it may be well with thee. This Buz, with whose maids thou wast joined in the field, is our near kinsman. Behold, this night he winnoweth barley on the threshing floor. Wash thyself, therefore, and anoint thee, and put on thy best garments, and go down to the barn floor. But let not the man see thee, till he shall have done eating and drinking. When he shall go to sleep, mark the place wherein he sleepeth. And thou shalt go in, and lift up the clothes wherewith he is covered towards his feet, and shalt lay thyself down there. And he will tell thee what thou must do. She answered, Whatsoever thou shalt command, I will do. Ruth lies at the feet of Buz. And she went down to the barn floor, and did all that her mother-in-law had bid her. And when Buz had eaten and drunk, and was merry, he went to sleep by the heap of sheaves, and she came softly, and covering his feet, laid herself down. Buz acknowledges his duty of Ruth. And behold, when it was now midnight, the man was afraid and troubled. He saw a woman lying at his feet, and he said to her, Who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thy handmaid. Spread thy coverlet over thy servant, for thou art a near kinsman. He said, Blessed art thou of the Lord, my daughter, and thy latter kindness has surpassed the former, because thou hast not followed young men, either poor or rich. Chapter 3, verse 10, clarification. Thy later kinsman, an example, to thy husband, deceased in seeking to help up his name and family by marrying his relation according to the law, and not following after young men. Buz, it seems, was then rather old, or at least middle age. Resuming with verse 11. Fear not, therefore, but whatsoever thou shalt say to me, I will do to thee. For all the people that dwell within the gates of my city know that thou art a virtuous woman. Neither do I deny myself to be near of kin, but there is another nearer than I. Rest thou this night, and when morning is come, if he will take thee by the right of kindred, all is well, but if he will not, I will undoubtedly take thee. As the Lord liveth, sleep till the morning. Buz allows another to claim Ruth. So she slept at his feet till the night was going off, and she arose before men could know one another. And Buz said, Beware, lest any man know that thou camest hither. And again he said, Spread thy mantle wherewith thou art covered, and hold it with both hands. And when she spread it and held it, he measured 6 measures of barley, and laid it upon her. And she carried it, and went into the city, and came to her mother-in-law, who said to her, What hast thou done, daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. And she said, Behold, he hath given me 6 measures of barley, for he said, I will not have thee return empty to thy mother-in-law. And Naomi said, Wait, my daughter, till we see what end the thing will have, for the man will not rest until he have accomplished what he hath said. Chapter 4. A nearer kinsman refuses to marry Ruth. Then Buz went up to the gate and sat there. And when he had spoken, the kinsman going by, of whom he had spoken before, he said to him, calling him by his name, Turn aside for a little while, and sit down here. He turned aside and sat down, and Buz, taking 10 men of the ancients of the city, said to them, Sit ye down here. They sat down, and he spoke to the kinsman. Noemi, who is returned from the country of Moab, will sell a parcel of land that belonged to our brother Elimelech. I would have thee to understand this, and would tell thee before all that sit here, and before the ancients of my people. If thou wilt take possession of it by the right of kindred, buy it and possess it. But if it please thee not, tell me so, that I may know what I have to do. For there is no near kinsman besides thee, who art first, and me who am second. But he answered, I will buy the field. And Buz said to him, When thou shalt buy the field at the woman's hand, thou must take also Ruth the Moabitess, who was the wife of the deceased, to raise up the name of thy kinsman in his inheritance. He answered, I yield up my right of next of kin, for I must not cut of the posterity of my own family. Do thou make use of my privilege, which I profess I do willingly forego. Buz marries Ruth. Now this in former times was the manner in Israel between kinsmen, that if at any time one yielded his right to another, that the grant might be sure, the man put off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor. This was a testimony of a cession of right in Israel. So Buz said to his kinsman, Put off thy shoe, and immediately he took it off from his foot. And he said to the ancients and to all the people, You are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's, and Chelion's, and Mahalan's, of the hand of Noemi, and have taken to wife Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahalan, to raise up the name of the deceased in his inheritance, lest his name be cut off from among his family, and his brethren and his people. You, I say, are witnesses of this thing. Then all the people that were in the gate and the ancients answered, We are witnesses. The Lord make this woman who cometh into thy house like Rachel and Leah, who built up the house of Israel, that she may be an example of virtue in Ephratah, and may have a famous name in Bethlehem. Verse 11, clarification. Ephratah, another name for Bethlehem. Resuming with verse 12. And that the house may be as the house of Phares, whom Thamar bore unto Judah, of the seed which the Lord shall give thee of this young woman. Ruth bears Obed. Buz therefore took Ruth, and married her, and went in unto her. And the Lord gave her to conceive, and to bear a son. And the woman said to Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, who hath not suffered thy family to want a successor, that his name should be preserved in Israel. And thou shouldst have one to comfort thy soul, and cherish thy old age. For he is born of thy daughter-in-law, who loveth thee, and is much better to thee, than if thou hadst 7 sons. And Naomi, taking the child, laid it in her bosom, and she carried it, and was a nurse unto it. David is descended from Ruth. And the woman, her neighbors, congratulated with her, and saying, There is a son born to Noemi, and they have called his name Obed. He is the father of Isai, the father of David. These are the generations of Phares. Phares begot Esron. Esron begot Aram. Aram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahasson. Nahasson begot Salmon. Salmon begot Buz. Buz begot Obed. Obed begot Isai. Isai begot David. Verse 17 through 22 clarification. Isai, the father of David. His name is frequently written Jesse. Since Christ belonged to the family of David, he is referred to as from the root of Jesse. And that was the book of Ruth. Join me next time as we start the first book of Kings, as we read chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thank you very much for joining me. You make sure that you all happen to have a wonderful week, and God bless.